They had looked at, they had a summer study or something like that. They had looked at them. And so that being said, something, hey, man, what if they do it? What are we going to do? So it's just a few plays.
Does Troy run anything quite like that?
They have some different things. They do Wildcat, and they got a lot of different personnel packages too. So, but not quite the same. But they have some zone read option and principles like that. Quarterback that's carrying the ball with misdirection involved. So.
Now that you've gone back and you've been able to watch the tape, how do you feel like your defense did, considering 3 quarterbacks, multiple formations, different packages, quarterbacks in on the same drive, everything that was going on?
I thought there was a lot of precise execution, disciplined for a good part of the game, and as wide as the widest and deep as the deepest. There's a few exceptions, and they do a great job at manipulating you. Thank goodness we had a long time to prepare for them, and because they can give you a lot. And but really pleased with our effort and just overall execution, just how hard they played, how hard they competed, and for a lot of guys that was their first start, they really played disciplined, and that's not normal, and for first time starters typically as consistent as they were.
14 tackles for loss exceed your expectations, or did you think
I don't ever really go in and think that there has to be a barometer for how well we played. Obviously, I think you're playing well, you're playing aggressive, you're playing with good technique when you're playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. I mean, we preach that as a philosophy. Don't play nobody wants to play in their own backyard. You always want to go in the neighbor's backyard and play, right? And when you are, it's just a lot more fun. And so that's kind of Dan Brooks's way to sell it to his guys and jump the fence and go play in their yard. So I think that looking back now, that's indicative of really knowing what to do and trusting each other, and again playing aggressive and attacking the opponent. If you're not having success, you're not gonna have those stats to back it up and to validate a good performance. So really happy though, again, for as many new parts as there were in the front seven in particular to have. I do think that's reflective of guys really feeling confident about knowing what to do.
You talked about that second to last Hail Mary. Probably didn't have the guys in the position he wanted, but Jadar made a really good play on the ball, and also talk about Jadar's game in general. Other than that,
yeah, we obviously didn't do a very good job, preparing those guys for. I don't know if we're probably caught off guard. They threw into the end zone on that particular play, thinking that they're going to throw some kind of a mid-level route. And but that being said, that's not the position you want to be in that situation. So could have probably have managed the entirety of that drive. I probably would have tweaked a few things. But I didn't think that we've practiced that drive, not this week per se, but this situation a few times in fall camp, and really felt like fundamentally I think some guys tried to do things that we did not execute very well with the calls that were there, and we had some real fundamental basic breakdowns, and that's not to say they wouldn't have had the same result, but we did some things that we can't do, and how we were playing a couple of schemes. We did a poor job of execution, so we got to definitely clean some of those things up.
Dabo said he apologized to a number of guys for not getting to play more. Who are some of the guys that you would have liked to see get in there?
I almost emptied the bench at my position, so I don't know. There's some guys that you'd like to have, situation in the game. Sometimes, again, we see things we watch every play multiple times of every practice, and we're constantly quizzing our guys and the checks and balances of who's ready to play, who isn't, all the way up to game time. So sometimes, we remember those things during the course of a very tight game. And we're on some short fields and a lot of sudden change and a lot of tempo. And so that just happens sometimes. But hopefully we'll continue. I thought we played a lot of guys. We did. And there's a few more guys that we'd like to have gotten out there that hopefully we will.
Was part of the game plan to play Jalen Williams?
Yes. Uh-huh.
But the movement out of the box so much, it seems like it really affected the pre-snap reads for Auburn quite a bit.
I'm not sure about for them, but Jalen had an excellent fall camp and a really good spring and has really earned our trust. And there's a lot to say for guys that know what to do. He's a good football player. Some of the things that he lacks in size and speed, he plays fast. And he's a tackler. He can cover. He can play in space. And, there can be some mismatches at times, but we're still trying to develop, our defense and the different packages. And going into that first game under the circumstances, really felt like he was best suited to handle that role. And I think we have some other guys that we're going to continue to try to develop there as well. But I like his ability to do multiple things, creates opportunities for him, and I think it really helps us. And he may not make a play, but he's not giving up a big play either. And he graded 82% for the game at whatever 38 plus snaps. So that's good, and I would rather, win with that than a guy that maybe be a little more productive that's grading at 50%, and the 50% is going to beat you.
Is his versatility that allows you to be able to play him in that spot? Because it seemed like I said in the game, he was moving in and out of the box so much, it created havoc for those guys on the pre-snap read. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's savviness, to answer your question, there's savviness. He's got a very confident understanding of what we're doing, what we're trying to show, and where we need to be. It's one thing to say, hey, do this and this, and then another, they get out there and they freak out, and they don't know the timing of it. They don't have an instinctual feel for it. And then now that you've challenged the integrity of the call defensively, or they just show their hand right away. Say you're playing man-to-man on the slot, and you just go in, you line them right up on his nose as soon as you come out. Well, everybody's, that's well-schooled and coached and well-versed, and they're checking a sideline, and the quarterback's getting a pre-snap read, and you just show your hand because, oh my God, I just got to cover my guy. Then that can create problems for you too. And so guys that have a good feel for it, and hey, I know where I got to be, and I know what I'm trying to show, and I'm setting this up for later. Jalen has that good feel, and so does that cause problems? I'm sure it does to a certain degree. And we're multiple in what we do, and that helps when you can do that.
After watching him practice for a month, was that pretty much what you expected to see out of Dexter Lawrence when he was thrown in the fire like that?
Oh, he probably was a little bit better, I mean, he was very impressive all camp. Had some lows during camp. We had an off day, but the play where he makes the sack, I think, was a super athletic play that because of the quick whistles and we're not tackling the quarterback, you don't always know in practice, what he would have done there. And what an athletic play that was. So just a little bit exceeded expectations, not much.
Kendall talked about playing downhill, how comfortable he is there. It seems like you have a lot of guys at linebacker that like to do that.
That was fun to watch. I think Kendall he put on and I thought overall the group played really pretty well. I just like the movement and the fits, getting off of blocks. Auburn does a great job of creating leverage and blocking you. That's why they've been so successful at running the football on people because of pre-snap formations and then motions. They create leverage, and this game is all about leverage. And you got to have some really good technicians, excellent footwork. They're running a guy by here and running the ball here, but they're flying a motion here. What happens when guys that haven't played or they're inexperienced or they lack instincts, they want to run over here and see if you gave it to that guy. Then they want to come back. Well, by then you got some 320-pound monster in your face blocking you. And Kendall's got a good feel for things and a handle on how we're going to defend things. And again, the technique that it takes to be able to cross face of a guy that benches 450 and weighs 320. That takes leverage and hat and hand placement, and got to be violent. And then, after you get off the block, you also have to make the play. and he played really, really well, really clean. It was good to see.
How do you use that and kind of tweak it a little bit, knowing they may have to drop into coverage a little more this week, but the team is going to throw it a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's a much different animal. Yeah, they're on two different planets, you know. They do want to spread you out to run it, though, as well. And their success is predicated on their ability to run the ball effectively. And, you know, if they throw it, 50 times, they need to run it effectively 25 times. And so it may not be 50-50 in balance and, how they're handing it off to pass attempts, but they need to run it effectively. So it is, so the techniques are different, the formations are different, but the fundamentals don't change. And, when he's got coverage responsibilities, we got to do a good job, and we do have to continue to get better there, from just looking from a year ago. If you're getting, your key gives you high hat, I don't want you running up the field. Those guys can't cover guys like that. You got to, coverage is pressure, it's underneath. It's not just the secondary, not that I need to give anybody a clinic on what coverage is, but it all ties in hand to hand. And if you're effectively stopping them in the run game, then you're probably going to be better in coverage because they're more predictable. Now you're not guessing, is it run or pass? And so, we've got to do a good job of, controlling the effectiveness of the run game and our pass coverage techniques, whether we're in man-to-man or we're in the zone concept, definitely need to continue to improve. We're definitely not where we need to be that way.
The defensive line's younger. What does it say about those guys that they went to Auburn and performed the way they did against a good offensive line?
Well, again, Christian being a new starter there at defensive end, and Cleveland and Dexter, those guys being new guys that I think you're referencing, and then getting registered in Jurgen in there as well. I think that Marion and Dan Brooks have done an incredible job helping those guys grow up quickly and providing them the knowledge and the tools that they need to play fast and confident. That just doesn't happen. You don't luck into that. And I think that takes the players' work, their understanding, their willingness to be coached, and then it takes good coaches that functionally can give them tools to be successful. You have to help them. And it's not just yelling at them and running through the bags. You got to have functional drills that help their performance on game day. And I think those guys are as good as there is in the business. And I think it's one to tout them. I think their track record speaks for itself.
When you're working in a lot of new starters, what kind of a positive impact do you see moving forward? If they right out of the gates, they won a tough game on the road, had to make plays at the end of the game to win it. So
I think in a lot of levels, I'm hopeful. I think that we're hard on them. We demand a lot. We coach them hard. I think that validates what we've been asking of them. And I think having a little success, they're like, oh, I like to be coached hard. I like you demand a lot. It's easier for them to come to work and to go and compete, and it's easier for them to listen. And I just think it validates what you're saying, what you're asking them to do. I think that increases trust. I think it increases and improves chemistry as a unit. And when Jadar can see, Kendall's going to hold it down in the middle, man, all of a sudden you start to develop a bond and a trust. Same thing for Van behind Ben or things of that nature. So, or those guys with the guys in front of them. And, they're willing to listen and help each other. So, that's the number one thing. And give them some confidence, a shot in the arm that we can do this. And it's, there's going to always be ups and downs, though. It's not going to always be, holding somebody 3 of 17, whatever it was. There's going to be some times when you're on your heels, and then you got to get back to the fundamentals of the game and, training your eyes the right way, things of that nature. So every week is different, and you got to kind of start over. We had a few weeks to get ready for Auburn. You got 3 days, brother, of an offense you haven't seen. Here's the philosophy of what this team does. Here's some similarities to some of the teams we've seen, but this is new. Now the players are new, the schemes are new, the play callers are new. Everything's new. We're Super Bowl for them. We're going to get their best shot. They're not going to be able to come in here and just be overwhelmed. They've played good, Power 5 teams on the road in tough environments, and our guys have got to, we've got to have an incredible sense of urgency. Immature players, young players, players that lack experience, sometimes they can start feeling good about themselves, and they put their guard down, and that's very normal. And our job as coaches to try to get them into reality, and that's your biggest fear as much as anything. Come out. I'm just going to kind of roll my hat out. Oh, these guys, it's not SEC. They buy that garbage. SEC is a good conference, a very good conference, and with great players and good coaches. But Troy's got good coaches and good players too. And everybody you play, again, they'll expose you. You don't go in there and on top of your game. And attitude, toughness, urgency, intensity, the focus that it takes to play at a high level. Our job as coaches is to get our players to buy into that. And sometimes it's easier said than done. And so that's part of the growth in the maturation process that's going to happen. And so some of these guys, we'll see. And that's why I always say every week's different. We'll see how this guy responds and how this guy responds. And I wish it was that easy. Oh, so then you're just going to play better every week, or you played that way against these guys. Well, now you're going to play even better against these guys. It's a better matchup.
You use an example like that App State Tennessee game to kind of bring that home. You use examples like that with your players.
Yeah, or App State that wasn't easy. You remember the first half. We end up later in the game. I don't know what the scores were, but I know the game, and that game was not comfortable. I remember walking into that locker room and feeling like that game was not comfortable. That same App State team, went to double or triple overtime, whatever, 44, 40. No, I'm talking about Troy. I'm using App State right now this week with Troy. Because our guys know App State's a good team, they know. And so a year ago in their first year that they were, 4-8, took them toe-to-toe at App.
What I was asking was, do you use examples like App State going into Knoxville, giving Tennessee the game?
Absolutely.
Not to underestimate them.
Yeah, they don't care. People, we think people just want to go away and going to, go under their rock and just, please don't beat us up too bad. It's not how it works. And but the media, even fans, we like to perpetuate the positive and think, this is going to be great, and that is, I wish it was that easy. It isn't the way it works. And this team fixing to come in here, yeah, they're like App State, absolutely. And if they don't have our attention by game time, I can promise you that our guys wish they had listened at halftime. And because they can embarrass you, and they've got good players, and again a good system. No Coach Brown, he's at Texas Tech as the offensive coordinator, does a terrific job, and their tape speaks for itself.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who do they remind you of? You said you look to see who they.
Texas Tech, ball's out now. I mean, they snap it and they're pitching it, and then again then they're spreading you out and they're running it, and they run it downhill. And they got a big old strong physical explosive back, probably maybe next to that back it's a backup for Florida State. I'm not sure who all the backs are in the conference. It's a big dude that can fly. He's got great suddenness, quickness, plays behind his pads, 215 plus, about 6'2". He looks like a great looking linebacker that can fly. Missed most of the year last year with an ACL, and we're gonna have to tackle really, really well against these guys, and on top of covering and pressuring the quarterback and playing well in our underneath coverage.
Are you looking at film like Kentucky a couple of years ago, or are you trying to stay with the players at Troy that they've done in the past with you?
We have an understanding of everything. Looked at Oklahoma Tech the last time we played, and which they beat us. All of it, but they have a system that they believe in, and things that they carry week to week that always show up, And there's always the what-ifs.
That's what I was going to ask you.
And they got a big tough. I like how they play up front. They're tough and play with low edge, and they're big. You know, they got good size. Got a left tackle that could play at a lot of people's place. He's a big, old, strong, athletic guy that can move and bend and again plays with good toughness. So you know, they do a good job, really good job.
Set.
Right, you got it. Yep.